freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round 2 recap for this week's Genesis Scottish Open. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Greg, hello to you.
Hello to you, Rick. Excited about this tournament so far. It's been pretty cool warm up for the Open Championship. And, you know, this afternoon, at least on their time, we got a little bit of Scottish weather coming in.
I am glad that we were not live for the discussion we had just moments ago behind the scenes of trying to figure out what time the podcast is tomorrow on Saturday, because they moved up tee times on Saturday. They're going to go off split tees very early. I think the coverage starts on Saturday like 6 a.m. Eastern. So we were trying to do time zones not only from the UK to East Coast to West Coast. We're not so good at it.
I would try to throw in pace of play in the mix too. What does split tees and threesomes mean? It's very complicated. We would have lost a lot of people. Let's just say that.
We lost us, or at least lost me.
I'm lost.
Yeah, we will be going at some point when the final putt drops on Saturday, whenever time that is. But we got to get round 2 in before we get round 3 in. And Greg, we entered the day with 9 under par being the score leading the way. It was Benny on. As of this moment, Ben's got 3 holes to go, but it looks like that lead is not going to get extended much. Likely 10 under par is our lead heading into the weekend. We'll reveal that golfer in just a second, but that bunches up the leaderboard.
It really does. And look, at the beginning of the week, there was some weather forecasted for today in the afternoon, and it did look like the late morning wave was going to have an advantage. Now, at the beginning of the afternoon wave, it didn't look like that. It looked like everybody was going to keep making birdies because there were a ton of them out there, but it did kind of tighten up a little bit. And now you're starting to see a lot of the guys that played this morning who got their names up near the top of the leaderboard. They're still there with a couple of exceptions. But it does look like there was that little wave advantage. And now it looks like everybody's going to have to play in a little bit more similar weather tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so the early wave, this is while most of you were sleeping, had a couple of big movers. We'll start with Tom Kim. He followed up his Thursday 66 with a Friday 65. It featured 33 on his first 9, 32 on his second 9. He had 2 bogeys on the scorecard, so he rattled off a bunch of birdies as well. Greg, this is, I don't want to say it's needed by Tom Kim, but when expectations were as high as they were on Jan 1 for Tom Kim and the season that he's had, those two things have not reconciled with themselves.
No, and it feels like a lot of that has been issues with the putter specifically. The big difference between the Tom Kim we saw last year in the President's Cup and, winning on the PGA Tour, and this year, in my opinion, has been largely the putter. Yeah. And now you see today he holed a number of really nice putts in that 10 to 15 foot range. In fact, it was 6 putts in that 10 to 15 foot range. Now he still missed a couple of shorties, which hurt him in the statistics. On his last hole of the day, he missed a 4-footer. He missed a 5.5 footer on 13 as well, which is kind of disappointing, but all in all, we saw some really solid ball striking. He was able to hit it in there close. I mean, inside of 10 feet on 5 occasions, and give himself some really good looks at birdie. And so all in all, I think for Tom Kim, this is looking good. And I did see some improvements on the greens today.
He is in at 9 under par, which is good for, as of this moment, a couple guys still out on the golf course, a tie for second. He has had 2 full field top 10s this year, T6 at the American Express, T8 at the US Open. So we'll see if he can put another one on the board this week. Tyrrell Hatton, wow, 62. Tyrrell was a very popular one and done selection across the industry, very popular bet this week, very popular in a lot of fantasy formats, moved up 44 spots on Friday, got in at 9 under.
He was not my one and done because I had already used him. And I was very disappointed about that. He was on my betting card. He was my pick to win this. And there's a couple of reasons. One, you think about what this golf course, this style requires, and there's so much unknown in it. So you like to go to guys who have really, complete games. And Tyrrell Hatton has shown that this year. Now, in yesterday's round, he really struggled on the greens. He missed some really short, very makeable putts, and you could see the frustration really start to loom up. And it felt like that round of 1 under should have probably been around 4 under, or maybe even, could have been even better than that. But today he really turned it around in that category. And, it's nearly 2 shots better on the greens today. But he also hit the ball a whole lot better. And that was probably the number one takeaway from Tyrrell Hatton is how well he hit it. I mean, all of his birdie putts were made inside of 14 feet. He had 5 inside of 5 feet. So, he made this 62 look quite easy because of some really good iron play.
And that is something he has done routinely this year. He has been flushing.
Yes. And the driver's been great for him this year. Like I said, I mean, his putting's been great this year.
Yeah. He's been great this year.
Yes. All around. In every aspect. So yesterday to me was kind of an aberration. 62 today, yeah, that's a little bit of an aberration too, but somewhere in the middle. I feel like this position on the leaderboard is pretty well deserved. It's just we had 2 extremes for 2 different reasons, but I think seeing Tyrrell Hatton near the top of the leaderboard is not surprising.
62 for Tyrrell is the lowest round he's ever carded on the PGA Tour. Now, what's funny is I don't know if it's the lowest round he's ever recorded on the DP World Tour. So I don't know if you saw it when Nicholas Colsarts made that ace. It said it was his first ace on the DP World Tour. Well, was it also his first on the P? You know what I mean? Like there's this weird co-sanction. So is that his lowest round anywhere? Just on the PGA? There's this weird thing happening with this co-sanction event.
Right. It's like, what stat is more relevant? Like Colsarts plays mainly on the DP World Tour, Hatton mainly on the PGA Tour. We just got to, pretend it's whatever tour they're representing. It's that event. I don't know. I don't know the best way to do it either.
Whichever makes the stat cooler.
Hard on the research guy.
Definitely hard on the research guy. Let's see. How about this guy? I've heard of him. His name's Scottie Scheffler. He's in a tie for 7th. He shot a 65. It was bogey free. Greg, don't look. Guess Scottie Scheffler's tee to green rank this week.
He was earlier this morning. I did look, and he was 2nd. Okay. After the morning wave. My guess is now he's 3rd. I think Rory passed him.
You stink. He's 4th.
He's 4th. What am I doing?
Now, guess his putting rank for the week.
75th.
118th.
All right. Not even close. What? Right idea. Not even close.
Yes. No, correct idea. This has been the entire story of 2023 Scottie Scheffler. We do a recap after every single round, and every single round I say the same thing. We should just be recording this. We should record a segment that says Scottie Scheffler was excellent from tee to green today, and he struggled with the putter. He's 2 shots off the lead. And we should just play that clip every time.
Leave it at that. Yeah, it should almost be a drop. Why don't we do that right now? You say what you just said again.
Okay.
We'll have Josh record it, and we could just make like our Rickie Fowler drop.
Yeah.
We could have our Scottie Scheffler drop.
All right.
It's every week.
Here we go. Scottie Scheffler back at it again. He was phenomenal from tee to green, but struggled with the putter. But no surprise, he's in contention for a victory.
Perfect. Now that's just a drop. We can play. We could save the oxygen, and we're good to go. How long does this last for? Like what?
Well,
what changes first? We're 7 months in. You're right, and you could argue it hasn't been as prevalent as this for his whole career. But
no, when he rattled off 4 out of 6, so the first half of last year, he was putting the lights out.
Yeah, very true.
And that's when he rattled off the 4 wins in 6 starts or whatever it was. And then basically since then, so we're basically at like a year now, although so there's like 6-month things. So then the second half of last year, he was not as good with the putter, but still good tee to green. Now he's like way better tee to green and still doesn't have the putter.
Right. Yeah. So it's changed a little bit, but the general concept has been going on for a long time. And even before the 4 wins in 6 starts last year, he wasn't, an elite putter by any means. Did most of his work tee to green. So it's just like what he does. You look at some of these numbers. I mean, he had 10 birdie putts inside of 15 feet.
Greg, he played the 5s at even par.
No birdies on the par 5s. I mean, how do you shoot 5 under, make no birdies on the par 5s, and make no putts?
I don't know. Well, Scott did it today.
That's pretty much what he did. I mean, look, I think if you watch this round today, a lot of the putts he missed were more of the mid-range. He missed 1 5-footer, but for the most part, they were, in that 10 to 15 foot range. Where when you're watching as a fan, you're thinking, okay, this is a great look. He should make it. And those putts don't always go in. You can't always expect them to go in. But because we know what we know about Scottie, every time he misses, there it is again. And I'm sure he's saying in his own head, here we go again. And it has a big effect. But here we go again. He's still in contention.
If he shows up next week with either the jailbird or the lab golf broomstick, I will take out a second mortgage and bet it on him to win.
I get it. Right? I mean, it's worked for everybody else.
It's easy. It's so
just
funny.
put one in play. He's just got to start going on the putt. Anytime he sees somebody else on the putting green, he's just got to grab their putter, and give it a couple rolls and see what he gets.
Get after it. Well, our beautiful boy Viktor Hovland needed a big day on Friday because he opened with a 73. It wasn't particularly pretty. He had put a new set of irons in the bag and he wasn't very sharp. Well, he got that big day. He was on 59 watch for a while. Basically, he was 8 under through 14 holes. And remember, this is a par 70. He goes out and cards a 63, moves up 107 spots, Greg. He is in at 4 under. I tend to think that 4 under is probably too far back, but there is a situation where everybody goes out early and you get kind of a big shakeup and something happens, but nice to get at least 2 more rounds in, play well, get really dialed in for next week.
You have, it's kind of funny with the new irons going in this week. It makes me think of, I know it's not the same situation, but it reminds me of Colin Morikawa, like trying to figure out some equipment, and then all of a sudden he does right before a major. I think there's a possibility of that, but the improvement from yesterday to today was stark. I mean, you're talking about just about 2 shots better off the tee, 4 shots better approaching the green, 3 strokes better putting. Really, every area just improved from yesterday to today. It's kind of plain and simple. He just played better. This is the Viktor Hovland you expect to see. All of his birdies, all 8 of them, came from inside of 15 feet. So it wasn't like he was just hooping it from everywhere on the greens. And all of a sudden, this round of 63 looks pretty easy, which is nice to see out of Viktor.
One more, and then we'll get to the afternoon wave. Steady Rickie Fowler goes out and fires a second consecutive 67. He did have 2 blemishes on the card, bogeys on number 5 and number 8. That was the front 9 of the golf course, but his second 9 today. Rickie's cool, man. Like there was my days are pretty mixed up, but he chipped in for birdie somewhere.
I believe it was. My days are mixed up too. I think it was yesterday.
I think it was today.
Okay.
So hold on. I think it was on number 2, which is his 10th hole of the day. Or his
Yes, it was today.
Okay, he chipped in. Yeah, I mean, it was over
from long of the green.
Correct. And that shot, I thought it really epitomized like what you get with link style golf, where he was behind the green there and he just had a lot of options, right? And I thought he took what was kind of the most difficult one, which is he kind of like banged it into the hill and let it release up there, and you got to get the pace right and all that fun stuff. And he just made it look so easy. And he's making a lot of stuff look easy right now. And it's just an easy 67 again, T10 heading into the weekend at an event that he's won at a different golf course. Very, like, he's an underrated creative golfer, I think.
It's the thing, before his struggles that made Rickie Fowler look so good. It was part of the reason why his game is so attractive, because he curves the ball both ways. He has a ton of creativity around the greens, a wonderful bunker player.
Yeah.
And that free flowing putting stroke, which, doesn't quite look as cool without the blade in his hand.
It looks so much worse, but
right.
Putts go in. So
they go in, and that's much, the scorecards look a whole lot cooler now.
Yeah.
Which is great. So you're right about Rickie. It's cool to watch. And it looks like he is so comfortable over the ball. It looks like he's playing a practice round at Medalist. You get up there in shorts and you put the tee in the ground and knock it down the fairway, go hit it on the green and try to make the putt. That's kind of the way that Rickie's been playing lately. And it looks easy. It looks fun. You see it in the golf swing. Nothing looks forced. It looks like he knows where the ball is going to go before it goes there. And so he's basically just continuing to shoot these really nice rounds of golf. He's playing really smart. And perhaps there's a day tomorrow where he goes out and shoots another one of his 60s or 62s or something like that and really gets himself right back into contention. That's possible. But what I love from Rickie Fowler is he's showing the patience to allow that to kind of allow that to happen. He's not forcing that to happen. And that's probably why it has happened in 2 out of the last 3 tournaments.
Yeah, he's taking what the golf course is giving him, and he's also earning a lot of good positions for the golf course to give him something because he's playing so well. So it's a vicious cycle, but in a good way for Rickie.
Right.
Let's talk about the afternoon wave. We got to talk about the guy at the top and the guy who led after 18 holes. Those are the big notables. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
In case you're new here, we're here to make history. We are more than the names on our back. We're the team on the front, the country on our shoulders, the city behind us, and the fire inside us. The best in the world. We got us. We don't just play the world's game. We run it.
And we're back. Let's start with our overnight leader, Benyon, who was 9 under par, had a multiple shot lead on Thursday night. And Greg, there is not much that is super predictable about golf. It's very, very difficult to predict. But Benyon had the 3rd best putting round of his career on Thursday. We knew that was going to come back to earth. He's got 1 hole to play. He's lost 2 strokes with the flat stick. He is even par. He's currently at 9 under. He could, in theory, tie the lead, but it's unlikely. He'll probably just be a shot or 2 back.
It's kind of disappointing in a way, but at the same time, this is the benefit of going out and shooting 61. You can have a lackluster day when, everybody in the morning goes crazy and you just kind of don't do anything special and you're still right there in the mix heading into the weekend. So yes, a day where he's kind of pulled back down to earth. The putter cooled off for sure. I mean, you look at all the bogeys he made, and they're all 3 of them are short missed putts. Is a 4-footer that he missed at 8, a 3-footer that he missed at 10, and a 6-footer that he missed at 12. And they're all in a very short period of time. So, there's a lot to clean up. That's pretty easy to clean up. And when you go shoot 9 under in 1 round, you don't have to you don't have to play like that for the next 4 days. But mistakes like this really penalize you. They make it really hard to continue to stay in the mix. You think about those 3 go in, and he's leading by 2, right? He's cruising. This scorecard looks totally different without those 3 bogeys on it. He'd be 3 under par. He'd be sitting at 12 under, and this would look like the Benny On show. And now he's got to figure something out heading into tomorrow. The ball striking wasn't nearly as good today, and there's no way that it could have been, because yesterday was just insane with the iron play especially. So it's okay to have that cool off a little bit, but you just got to be able to sprinkle in birdies and avoid the mistakes. Unfortunately, he did make a few too many mistakes today.
Yeah, 3 birdies, 3 bogeys, and 1 to play for Benny On. He's at 9 under par. That is 1 shot behind Rory McIlroy, who followed up his Thursday 64 with a Friday 66. He's in at 10 under par, and in all likelihood will be probably your solo 36-hole leader heading into the weekend at the Scottish Open. It's pretty Rory-esque, Greg. He's driving it beautifully. He's picking up a lot of strokes on approach and around the green. He's not even putting particularly well, but Rory's certainly in his element right now.
He is. The driver's been a weapon. For the week, he's second in strokes gained off the tee. He is first in strokes gained tee to green. He's first in driving, both the driving distance categories, all drives and just the 2 measured drives. His iron play has looked sharp, right? He's 10th in that category, hitting a lot of greens. And this feels ultimately like you just left a lot on the table. I mean, what did he miss? 6 putts inside of 8 feet today?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
could have been really low.
Yeah, could have gone crazy. So there was a big drop off in the putting from yesterday to today, which I know will be disappointing. I mean, it's like a 4.5 shot difference. He gains 2.1 yesterday, loses 2.6 today. That's a significant fall off on the greens, and most of it comes from short range. Yet, like Scottie Scheffler, he's still able to go shoot a 4 under par. And if you're looking at the model, you have the leader who has the most wins on the PGA Tour of anybody in the field, and he's hitting the ball better than anybody in the field. Maybe Scottie Scheffler has something to say about that over the weekend. Maybe Tyrrell Hatton has something to say about it today. But I think this is something he can clean up as well. So, yeah, Rory looks like the guy right now.
Last 10 times anywhere in the world that he has led or co-led after the second round, he's won 4 of them, which actually that goes back a while. I'm surprised he does not lead after the second round very often. The last time he did it was the Italian Open in 2022. The time before that was the 2020 BMW Championship. Does he just chase everybody down on the weekend?
Yeah, I suppose. I guess are you talking just 36-hole leads?
Just 36-hole leads. He has a lot more. Yeah, he's got a lot more 54-hole leads.
Right. So, yeah, that is kind of interesting that it goes back that far. Because he has a way, he gets himself up near the top of the leaderboard. I mean, he lives up there.
He has a lot. Yeah.
And so he's putting himself on the line, because if he's in the top 5, his name is circled no matter what. So it might feel like it's a real lead situation, but for the everyday golf fan, you see Rory, he 2 shots back in tied 3rd, and it's almost like he's leading. So he puts himself in the mix plenty. This is another opportunity, and he looks pretty darn good. I'll say that.
He's already the favorite, Greg, for the Open Championship next week. If he were to win this, just let me paint a picture for you. Okay. Rory McIlroy wins the Scottish Open, goes back to Royal Liverpool, the site of his only Open Championship, holding a 9-year major championship drought in his back pocket. He's the odds-on favorite. He's got the hearts and minds of everybody in the world. He's been the talking head for the PGA Tour for 18 months. Be a pretty cool week.
It would be a really cool week. And I hope I just don't know how he'll respond to that. And there has been so much pressure. And if there's pressure, if it's not the Masters, the Open Championship is the next major that really highlights Rory McIlroy and the pressure. Liverpool is interesting because he did win there. I don't think it's the pressure like Royal Portrush where you're in Northern Ireland.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, whatever Rory does, whether it's good or bad, he comes in under the microscope.
That's true.
And so maybe Masters is different, but if you take the Masters out, he comes into every tournament under the microscope and has performed beautifully well. So I think his chances, I think he deserves to be the favorite, even though Scottie Scheffler has been, I might give Scottie Scheffler a slight edge, in terms of what it should be. But I'm fine with Rory as the favorite too.
Well, do we have the odds for this week? We are almost through. There's just a couple of guys out on the golf course through 36. And, no surprise. Rory McIlroy 2-1 to win this week's Scottish Open. Tyrrell Hatton just one shot off the pace, 4.5-1. Scottie Scheffler, he is 3 back, plus 600. Tom Kim, 9-1. And then you get a couple of guys like Benny On and Sam Burns at 16-1, Rickie Fowler at 22, Brian Harman at 25, Max Homa at 35, et cetera, et cetera. How do you think it's impacted by everybody going off tomorrow within a 2-hour window?
I think it actually helps the leaders.
Me too.
And the reason, there's a few. One, sometimes when you get on difficult golf courses, when the days get long, you have this situation where the morning wave guys, they play on a much different golf course than the afternoon guys. Right. And it creates a big difference in scoring average. And so a big move on an easier golf course in the morning is much more possible. And then you have leaderboard gravity, like we talk about all the time, and you have a more difficult golf course, and it bunches up. But now you have much more similar conditions. Yep. And the leaders also don't have to wait around as long, right? They don't have to stew on their lead or near lead, their opportunity for nearly as long. So I would give the edge to the leaders in that case. But it's only Saturday we're talking about here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's just harder to get a drastic wave advantage when everybody is out on the golf course within 2 hours of one another. So, it's hard for somebody to make a big move without just going nuts and shooting something crazy low. They don't also get the benefit of playing a golf course that's a shot easier. So,
right, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
So look, I look at this board and the guys that I would like. I liked Hatton at the beginning of the week, so I'd stick with that. Although I don't love the number. Hopefully, he got in when he was, plus 1,800 at the beginning of the week. So if you, I do like Hatton and Rory up here at the top. Going down the board, Nikolai Højgaard is another guy, kind of jumps off the page to me. Hit the ball really well today, and just gave away a number of opportunities on the greens, which was a little bit disappointing. But he's only 3 shots back, and I know that this is a co-sanctioned event, but he's had some success on the DP World Tour, is a proven winner on the DP World Tour. And I think he could find his way. He was second in strokes gained approach today. Hit it really nice, hitting 17 greens. So he has my interest a little bit farther down the board.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Rickie Fowler at 22-1. We're waiting for the low round, right? A lot of these guys have had the low round already. Rickie's been great all year. He's great in these conditions. He's great at this event. He's playing with plenty of confidence. The stat profile is not super good, but I think for what Rickie's done in 2023, I can give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit. And, if he goes out and he can post go find a 65, Rick, go find your low round of the week. It probably doesn't have to be a 62 like Tyrrell shot today. I think that's interesting when you have a guy who's playing as well as he has, and he's just put together 2 okay rounds.
Yeah, but if you look at the, at the end of the week when all 4 rounds are on the, in the cards, 267s to start isn't going to look bad.
No.
It's
Josh asked a good question. Like, I mean, especially what we expect on Sunday. Well, I mean, if Rickie shoots 467s, gets in at 12 under, any good? Not this week, not this year.
Look, tomorrow is going to be really telling for that because rain can go one of two ways. I mean, it can make it really difficult, and it can not play that big of a role. So I'm curious to see what kind of weather we get tomorrow. My lean on that is it's not enough. I do think Rickie's going to need another good one, especially with Rory McIlroy sitting at 10 under and a bunch of really good players sitting at 9 and 8 ahead of Rickie. So I think he'll need a little bit more than that. I think 15 would be much safer.
I haven't checked the forecast recently, but Sunday was supposed to be like absolutely.
Yeah, how
30 to 40 mile an hour winds or something outrageous, which would be.
Oh, did you see it that high? I saw it like around like 25.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty.
That's really high.
It would be sick.
Yes,
I would love that.
That could make things really cool. But still, I mean, the golf course is built for that.
Yeah,
you can still shoot even par in that. I don't think it's so difficult where it's going to be U.S. Open carnage. Just maybe a little bit harder to make birdies.
All right. Well, they're going off early on Saturday. We're going off early on Saturday. We think it's probably going to be 10 a.m. Eastern time-ish for the pod, but what it'll be is it'll just be when the final putt drops, which we were trying to do a little bit of math, pace of play, et cetera, et cetera. So keep an eye out for that. We'll do our best to get up and running, Greg, as soon as we can.
Perfect. I'm in.
All right. Big thanks, producer Josh does all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg available on Twitter at The Real GFD. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.